Hey, everyone. Thank you so much for joining the Live with Georgie session today. We had a great session last week when I did the first episode of this, short little web series that I decided to put up to kind of give a recap and an insight look at what I've been doing over here at GSD with Georgie. A lot has been going on. A lot of amazing things have been going on, especially right now while we're experiencing this like new world that we're in. So many different startups and big companies over the last week have said, we are going virtual. We're going to go completely remote for the next year, the next 2 years. And so, a lot of things are coming to light. And as a person that's been working in the virtual and remote space for the last forever years, but more so concentrated in the last 3 years, it's been really insightful for business. We've been growing a lot. So I'm technically hiring. If anybody would like to learn how to produce online events, reach out to me because we are definitely hiring for some staff there. And today's episode of Live with Georgie, we're going to talk about growth hacking. How can you strategically grow your business? And more so, how can you strategically grow your business organically? How can you create relationships with your audience to make them know, okay, when I have a need for a specific product or service, that's the exact person that I go to. That's the exact person that will be able to provide it, and this is how they can provide it. A lot of the people that are coming to me as clients, that have always come to me as clients in general, are people based on referrals, right? You guys see me on social putting things out there, but oftentimes it's just sharing of information. It's not really like marketing or paid ads, just me putting it out there. So how can you continue to use these like strategic hacks and features to grow your business? Oh, hey there. Thanks, Mark, for joining. And before we have our special guest, so Mark is in the chat, our special guest, Katriel, join. I wanted to, just talk a little bit about some announcements that we've had here at GSD with Georgie. So the first thing is, a personal announcement. This week was the last week of the Accelerator, the pre-Accelerator program that I was running. So for the last 6 weeks, I've been running the Startup Boost pre-Accelerator program. When I decided to join the Startup Boost pre-Accelerator program, it was late February. The world was normal. We thought everything was going to be okay. And, it was supposed to be an in-person program. And I told them about, because I was trying to build my pre-accelerator program, which was Doer Labs, which I've since pivoted, and I'll let you guys know all about that very soon. And so, I knew about all these different online resources. I was like, hey, we could supplement some of the content for some online stuff, right? This is me, super innocent, all the way back in February, where like, yeah, we could just throw in some of like the online stuff that I've been doing, maybe a few live streams to amplify the content of this accelerator program. Totally innocent. And then come to find out, a few weeks later, when the world completely changed, it was necessary for us to make this program fully online. So that expertise that I had was essential in helping give feedback to the Startup Boost team to say, like, let's bring this program online. So that was like a really amazing experience to kind of see what I had learned was like real, like, right, and intangible, and bringing the program fully online. So we just wrapped up the Accelerator. Shout outs to my co-directors, Alice. Alice was amazing. We co-directed the program for 6 weeks. Another shout out to the additional co-directors of the program, Phil and Rob, as well as like one of our key mentors and team, Eric. So, we week by week, all of us would be there with the startups, and we had 10 startups that were, the majority were based here in New York. Few were international, again, because of the crisis. And it was just a really great experience to work with these founders and their change and development from week 1 to week 6 has been crazy. And they're having the demo day. So we're having a virtual demo day for all of these founders on June 17th. And I'm going to be posting the link a little bit later on all of my social media. So just look out for that when I post the link for the Startup Boost pre-accelerator program demo day. Guys, definitely support these founders. They're amazing. They're building amazing companies. And I think, at the other end of this crisis, you'll see kind of who was doing what and who kind of just said, we're going to make this work, right? There's people fundraising, there's people growing, there's businesses growing. And I think actually right now, a lot more opportunities are in the market, whereas a lot more people are reachable, right? You don't have to travel 1,000 miles to see somebody. You could just say, hey, can you jump on a Zoom call? And they can say yes or no. You could join an event that they're hosting. So there's just way more accessibility. So that's one of the first news pieces that I wanted to share. So definitely check out the Startup Boost Pre-Accelerator Program Demo Day, June 17th. Look on my social media and I'll have a little bit more details about that later. The next thing is the Black Podcasting Awards. So we've recently announced and we are live with the Black Podcasting Awards. Again, a simple idea that started back in February has now come to light, and it's going to be happening September 27th, completely online. And we have a great team, superstars that have been just putting this together with me, and I tell them all the time, I am not the expert here. It's like the whole team is the expert. I'm just the person that says, like, let's get it all done. Let's put it all together. These are the tasks that you need to do. And just like kind of like executive producer, but they're the ones with like the funding expertise, the podcasting expertise, the nominations, the branding, like this team is killing it. So, shout outs to them. And again, look out on my social for the Black Podcasting Awards. We are live today. You can sign up for our mailing list, and nominations will be opening up in about a week on June 1st. So check that out. And we have a new episode of Doing the Most Misadventures of Entrepreneurship, which is featuring Christina Hawatme, and it's going to be on all your favorite podcasting channels as well as YouTube. So check that out. Tune into the new episode of Doing the Most. Yeah, and I see we have Katriel here, so I'm going to invite him up to the stage with me. Again, we're going to be talking all about growth hacking and, how to strategically position yourself and your business, especially at a time like this. That could also apply to any time to have organic relationships and grow your business, no matter what the world looks like and what's happening out there. You could continue to grow and develop on your business. And I'm just making sure we have shared and we're good to go on all the socials. Awesome.
This was fun, like finding my way here. Oh man, I was cracking up. I was like, where do I click? Where do I go? My first time using StreamYard. This is really, really cool.
Yeah. So this is a great tool. And it's one of the tools in our arsenal. So shameless plug. GSD Solutions, we've been doing a bajillion online events. So, some of the services that we offer is producing online virtual events, conferences, summits, teaching people how to stream using various platforms, StreamYards, OBS, Restream.io, and we also do online course production. So if you need those type of services, holla at us, and you could see from here one of the examples of us putting on some virtual events.
You're going to be helping me put together my first virtual hackathon.
Yes.
So, hell yeah, shameless plug for you right there. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be. I just told Joy actually. I was like, hey, you remember Georgie? So yeah. So hit me. What do you want to go over today? I'm very excited to work with you, collaborate with you. I've liked everything you've been doing so far.
Yeah. So one big shout out to Katriel for being a part of the Startup Boost. So you came in, I think it was week 4 of Startup Boost, and you kind of went over with the startups growth hacking tips, and a lot of them definitely apply the knowledge that you share with them. So can you give us a little bit of introduction about who you are, and a little background so that folks that are not familiar could get a little bit to understand better who is NerdGoneRogue?
I almost wore my shirt again. I was like, but let me chill. So thank you so much for having me and for your audience. My name is Katriel Sarfati, and yes, my moniker that later became my username was NerdGoneRogue. And really, for me, my start came from very, very much nothing, and finagled my way into corporate America. Shamelessly, I'm going to admit it. I finagled my way into corporate America while I was still in college. And long story short, I started noticing that things worked very, very different with them than with, like, say, mom and pop shops or like startups before startups were a thing. So anywho, I would take a lot of the stuff that we would learn, and I would start giving it to like my buddy who had a pizza shop and another one who had a supermarket. And I kind of morphed into something where I got into management consulting. I started working with Deloitte and a few other management firms. Again, finagled my way in there because I was still a kid. Anyway, after a while, I was like, you know what? I want to do this for myself. And here I am today. And basically everything I do is centered around doing the most that you can with as little as you have. I am a huge advocate for how you do anything is how you do everything. And I am a huge believer also in that everything rhymes. So I believe that a certain type of person makes a certain type of business, which provides a certain type of service and or product. So yeah, that bleeds into everything that I do. And as you saw when we did our talk with Startup Boost, by the way, those startups are really, really good. I was really excited about a handful of them, and I got to talk to them on the side, and I gave them as much as I could. I was like, here, just take it all. So yeah, basically what it is my mantra, I guess you could say now on my website is helping the Teslas of tomorrow profit and succeed instead of the Edisons. So if anyone doesn't get that reference, Tesla was a mad genius, a beautiful, beautiful mind. And like a lot of people right now, those types of people don't really get the spotlight because everything's on the CEO, the Edisons. So basically, I'm like, you know what? Let the Edison keep doing what he's doing. He's not going to change. I'm going to start now focusing on empowering the Teslas. You know, maybe it's teaching them how to network a little better. Maybe it's teaching them how to like put something together a little faster. Because the more people I meet, like that Startup Boost crowd, there's some people in there that I know for a fact with the right like network around them, they're going to do amazing. So yes, absolutely. So that's where we are now. And yeah, that's basically, I just gave you everything that I could in this short amount of time.
Yeah, definitely. And I definitely appreciate that because, what resonates with me and like what, I saw that you were doing that was like, whoa, I need to have, work with this guy is because you believe in the same mentality and the same vibe of like, how can you doing more with like less? And it's not about like skimping. It's just really about truly being productive and not saying, okay, I'm gonna throw a bunch of money at this problem. And it's like the people that understand the idea of, you could call it frugal, you could call it, just doing more with less, is the people that are gonna come out of that are fine right now and that are gonna come out of this at the other side being fine, right? So because you say, okay, I'm not gonna be worried about not having this expensive thing or not having all these resources because I know if I have $5 or if I have $5,000 or $5 million, like I know that I'm being strategic and just using what I have to maximize how I interact in the world. And I think having that mindset. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just agreeing with you. I'm like, hell yes. Because think about it. It's like why lotto winners, right? Suddenly you get this unearned money, keyword in the unearned, and all of a sudden they go broke. And I'm telling you, that's why. It's exactly why. It's crazy to watch these big businesses get big money thrown at them like investors. I actually work with VC firms. That's where I'm coming from. That's where the chip on my shoulder comes from. Working with VC firms, like they'll see amazing talent, and then they'll be like, cool. And they'll see like some average Joe with like a half-ass idea, and they're like, let's give that guy $1 million. But that guy with $1 million never earned $1 million, so he doesn't know what to do with $1 million.
Yeah, and I wanna dive into this a little bit because
Hell yeah.
I'm in a lot of rooms where and I see it also in like so I'm just gonna say because like, all right, so like the person that definitely should have the money and knows how to best use the money doesn't get it, and then the person that doesn't, like, the person that needs like the extra push, it's like that, in the family, it's like the kid that's really smart and really driven, they're not getting as much attention, but the kid that's like, I'm gonna do whatever, they get all the special attention. Like the bad kids, like the bad people of the world get the most attention. Like we pay thousands of dollars, millions of dollars every year in security measures, so you're literally investing in, like, if I was a thief, I'd own a security company because you're literally investing millions of dollars into keeping yourself safe to like pay more attention and invest more in the person that's doing the wrong thing. And so it's like, how do we switch people's mindset of like, not because this startup can make it work with $1,000 means that we're not going to give them the $1 million and say, but like the startup that can't make it work with $1,000, then they get the $1 million. Like it just doesn't make sense to me. So like, can we kind of try to unpack that and like, how do we tackle that, especially coming from like Black and brown communities? It's just like you'll see a startup that's like, oh, here's another scooter company. Oh my God, it's a great idea. Millions. Here's something that's going to change the world. Delete carbon emissions. I think you guys only need 1,500. What?
I hope you keep inviting me back to these because these are awesome. You touched on so many points. I'm excited that you did, in fact. So I'll start off with the very first one. The chip on the shoulder that I mentioned before about VCs is because where I grew up is Brooklyn, New York, but I grew up in the Brooklyn, New York, where there's still loan sharks. That sort of Brooklyn, and I know one when I see one. So then I worked in banking. I went to corporate America, and I saw it again. So when I got into the VC world, guess who put me there? It wasn't me finagling my way there. It was the banking world that put me there. And the reason that that's so important to acknowledge is because there's an angel investor, and then there's a VC, and then there's a customer. The angel investor is trusting you and believing in you. The VC is hiring you. And I think that when you said, like, how do we change the mindset? It's seeing things for what they actually are. Most VCs, first of all, work like real estate. It's like there's the actual person with the money who hires a bunch of agents, tells them they're going to get commission and so on and so on, and then sends those agents out. Those agents start calling themselves VCs. So they like, let's just break down what we're looking at. Then
So
they
it's a
go
scam.
and they
Go ahead.
so they see all of you, get 3 of your friends, get 3 of my friends. So then they meet Georgie, and Georgie has an amazing idea. She's rocking and rolling. So literally some of the parameters, because I help put together these parameters, is, are they manageable? Are they teachable? Are they this? Do they have that? Because when you take on VC money, let's really take it. What you're doing is selling your idea. They got to come in to secure their investment. That's the legal jargon. No, it's basically, you are really good talent. If I invest in you, then I can own you, like Edison did with Tesla.
So it's like a
hey,
job.
I got you. I'll take care of you. Thank you. Exactly. Amen. And I'm glad you said that, because that is the problem I have when I see startups with amazing talent and they're like, oh my God, I'm going to bend over backwards to impress the investor. And I always tell them, have you impressed the customer? I always ask them, sorry. That's why, because look, the customers, the sales, right? The customer is going to finance your operation. At the end of the day, when you go to a VC, all you're doing is just buying yourself some really expensive debt, because now you have an overlord. Now you have some debt. You have expectations. And then guess what you got to do? You still got to come back to the customer anyway. So that's just the beginning. I know that wasn't your exact question, but when you hit all those points, I'm like, oh my God, she's nailing it.
But
so let's start there.
Yeah, that's it.
So number 2, in the Black and brown community, I gotta tell you, man, growing up, it was so weird, because my mom did her absolute best to put us in the best neighborhood she could. So we were literally, there was just one biracial family across the street from us, and us, the brown, family. Everyone else is white. Okay. So I grew up around that, but then all my friends happen to be Black and brown. So then when I'm there, I'm living between worlds. And I will never forget going to one of my best friend's houses. He had the most white name too, Bryce. We're in his dinner table and we're talking, and I look up and I see this painting, and I was just transfixed. I'm looking at it. And the father's like, do you like it? He starts telling me about it. $623,000. I'm literally having dinner. Yes, me, that practically has been homeless twice in my life, and there's a painting of $600,000. And that was exactly my old neighborhood, Park Slope. It's a lot of old money. But hold on, it gets better.
No, I don't want to. Go ahead.
You know what it did? So between that and working in corporate America, what I started realizing, it's not that we're dumber, slower, lazier, any of that. Because a lot of those people, they're not even that much smarter than us. The old money family that I just told you about, it's not. You know what it comes down to? It just comes down to very, very simple something. They have one major goal, right? And then as a family, even if they hate each other, they work together. And that is, I will admit, not to throw ethnicity in here, but my family, we're Jewish. We're Sephardic Jews, right? So we literally are Latino, but we're not, if you get my point. So the relationship with money and the stereotypes that come with it, that everyone laughs at, yeah, sure, some of them might be true. And I'll give you an example why. My sister, right? Amazing at math. We all gave her money to get her certification, my whole family. The other one was an amazing baker. We all gave them money. And the same thing in the Muslim community, for example, my best friends, right? We all do the same thing. And I think in the Black brown community, the crabs in a bucket mentality is really what's fucking us. And it's fucking us because guess what? That's why VCs will put you through the ringer, will take your idea, or maybe even hire you. I'm sorry, invest in you. So I hope that the people that are listening to you are really starting to look at things for what they actually are. And the reason that I'm so passionate about that is because what do you think I did in corporate America? I was a propaganda master. That's literally what I did. You want the stocks to go up? Katriel, go make it happen. We want this image to be spun in a different way. Katriel, go spin that image. And it's why I see it. The VCs are just a repackaged. And the business model that it operates on is no different than real estate. I know that because my family does real estate. So I hope that answers your question. I hope I didn't ramble on too long, but that's something that's very near and dear to me.
Yeah, that was perfect. And that is really, the conversation I want to have. Like, I want to keep it real. And everybody knows if you're on GSD, you're keeping it real. Last week we was keeping it real no matter what content. And I think that's the problem here. There's too much information and too many misconceptions around these topics that we would go after. Because I know when I first started in like, you know, doing startup and like officially entering the startup and tech ecosystem, and I was hearing like how many people are getting money and funding, and I'm just like, whoa, that's crazy. Like I need some of that. And you know, I would work my butt off, and you know, then I wouldn't be chosen. And then at first I felt like there was something wrong with me, or I wasn't putting enough work, or like, you know, and growing up as like, you know, a Black immigrant woman in America, right? Like growing up, it was just like, you know, your parents are telling you you have to work twice as hard for half. And I'm just, and I couldn't let that sit with me. I could not comprehend that. And it's like, as I got older and then I moved to different communities where it was like more diverse. And I say more diverse because most of the time growing up, it was just like Black and Latino communities. So it was more diversity when I went to community was like Black, Latino, Asian, white. And so, you know, when I moved specifically to Long Island, I was in classrooms and I was in spaces where like, when I saw like a white person, they weren't in like a position of power, you know, aka like a teacher or a principal, you know, what I was accustomed to. Like I didn't have any like white friends growing up. Like, you know, I didn't have like a white neighbor just living there. So the only time I really had interactions with majority of like white or Asian people were again in those roles of power, teachers, principals, deans, and things like that. So when I came out here and like, you know, there's like white kids sit next to me in class, I'm just like, whoa. Like I didn't understand what their complexities, and I talk about this in my book too, where it's just like one, like I think the biggest lesson for me as like a teenager, and I was so grateful for this, was like realizing that like white people like are not like super smart, like they're just not. And it's not, you know, there are people no, like because that's what I thought. Like growing up, I literally thought, because you don't know, you know, your parents tell you you have to work, you know, you get the talk as like a young Black immigrant child, you know, you have to work twice as hard, you have to be a doctor, lawyer, teacher, nurse. So you're getting these talks and you're just like, okay, and you're really ambitious about education, you're really ambitious about getting like that top paying position at the firm, and you know, culture switching and code switching. So you have all these instructions to follow, and because you think, okay, the competition is, you know, they're smarter than me because my parents are telling me to get like a big education. That means they're faster than me because my parents are telling me I have to better manage my time. They have more money than me. So you just think that you don't know what's at the other side. So when I finally saw the other side, I was like, ah, shit, this is not, you're not doing more work. So why do I have to work harder? And
no, I'm sorry. I was just saying that was your $600,000 painting moment.
That was my painting moment.
You had your, yeah.
And then I was just like,
wait a second, you're like me.
Yeah, like you know, and like there's nothing that's saying that I can't have what, you know, a $600,000 painting or more or something like that, or I can't launch a startup. It's just you guys are using the resources that you were given, right? And you just so happen to have more resources, so that's what you're using. So I sat back and I was like, okay, how can I better use the resources that I have? I don't, you know, can I learn something, right? I got time, right? When I was younger, I had more time. Okay, can I learn something? Can I go to these events and meetups? And then, you know, I took New York City tech ecosystem by storm. People saw me at everything. What I couldn't afford, I volunteered for. What I couldn't volunteer for, I, applied for tickets and to win tickets to on like Gary's Guide. Like I built these networks of people, and I was just like, you know, I'm getting in regardless, right? I'm watching the live stream. I'm standing outside. I'm waiting on the lines. I'm, you know, applying. I'm putting myself out there. And that is what, you know, I built up that like social currency. And that was the growth hack. That was the hack. Just going out there and saying, okay, there's nothing essentially, or, you know, deeply different from me and that person. They're using their resources. They just have $1 million. I don't. So how can I use my $100 the best way I can? How can I use, you know, my access to going to a CUNY school, right? I amplify everything that I got put in my hands. I was like, okay, how can I use this to triple it, double it, take a piece of one thing and take a piece of another thing and put them together. And that's the thing. Like I was just seeing all these ways of building solutions, and that's the whole GSD mentality of like, I don't want to hear, oh, how you can't get it done. I could kill you with a list of how you can't get it done. I want to know what you got right now and how can you start on doing this, getting this done. And when I, you know, shifted to that, just more and building my own opportunities, you know, no one told me to, oh, here's a, you know, we're going to sponsor your podcast, or here's like a deposit towards a podcast, and when it becomes big, or we're, you know, you're going to have it on this channel. No, but I figured it out, and I worked in my network, started my podcast, and now people are reaching out to me, and I've done multiple workshops in Google at that to do podcasts, like, you know, and even working with like the Google space, like people are like, how did you get that opportunity? I hit them up. You just emailed? Yes, I just emailed them. Like,
Oh
what do you thought
man,
I did? Like,
I love this. You are literally who I created Growth Haxx for. You're literally who created Growth Haxx for. Seriously, because you see, you didn't play by the rules. You catch my drift there. You and 100% that is one of the things that drew me to you, is that you're seeing it. Look, it is what it is. I gotta do what I gotta do with what I got, right? I'm sorry, I'm sounding like I'm back home right now. But what I'm trying to say is you didn't play by the rules, and this is exactly who I'm playing for. That's literally who I'm building this for. Because I kept meeting people all over America and all over the country when I've been able to travel. Thank God, I would meet people, brilliant people, and it was just like that. Those 2 or 3 things that they were a little weak in. That, as you know, it's like, oh, I can't do that, you know, or whatever. Like, I love the fact that you just hit up people like, let's talk. I'm the same way, so I appreciate it. But there's a lot of people who sometimes want to learn like a secret trick or a magic trick to get like someone to pay attention to you. A few years ago, a good buddy of mine, Xander, had this bright idea to start an airline, and we were doing with private jets. We're going into a really shitty industry. You know that. You're seeing what's going on. But this 21-year-old kid and myself were able to get invited to Vegas to go to the actual aviation exhibition for planes, because we did what you did. We didn't actually stop to think, well, we're little kids, right? We don't belong in this. And we were the youngest people at the exhibition. Everyone was like 50 and up. So there we were, because we were just hitting people up. We didn't care. When we were there and we were like, oh, we do this and we do that, we're retrofitting this. We definitely got looked at. You know what I'm talking about, that gaze, that stare. But when we showed them we were serious. And then when we got featured in Forbes, all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, those kids are serious. So I love that, and I hope that your subscribers really take to heart what it means, because it's not like you're going to sit there and be a magician, you know, but at the same time, you've got more balls than half these mediocre people running around in corporate America. I'm here to tell you, you've got way more balls. And I think that more people should just actually take the risk and really, there's a book that I want to share with you.
Recommendations. Yes. Love the books.
Being Wrong by Catherine Schultz. This book, so I can go on and on talking to you about like failure and relationships with failure, but I think within our communities, if we revisit our relationship with failure, and the reason I'm saying that is because, remember I told you before, like my family, we're like there, but not within our community. And the biggest difference was that when I failed, my mom was like, oh shit, that sucks. Let's fix it. But in the predominantly Latino community and Middle Eastern community, the mentality is you got to do everything right. You got to do it by the rules. You got to follow the rules. And yada yada. That's why like hard work is so like celebrated, right? Failure is not. It's really not. Like at least 3/4 of my family think I'm a bum. They don't even know what I do. They're like, he's a bum. Get a real job. Go. Like my cousin, perfect example. Me and my cousin grew up together, same age, everything, right? She went on to become a DA. I went on to be an entrepreneur. All my family celebrates her. They're like, oh, Cindy, she's a lawyer. And me, they're like, oh, okay. He's gonna get a real job.
Yeah, he's doing something on the computer again.
Always on his damn phone. That's what I heard a lot. So what I'm saying is that I hope that people just revisit their ideal field, because I'm not gonna lie, that for me, I want to talk to you on the side, because what you did there in getting yourself into the social currency aspect, you invested in yourself, and you didn't have a shit ton of money to invest in yourself, but you were like, I'm gonna find a way to get myself in front of people. Exactly. And that right there was like your relationship with fear was one of, what's the worst that can happen? I've got nothing to lose. And that, by the way, to the previous point and thing that you were talking about, I wanted to add this, is that right there is so important, because instead of, and I'm going to just, I hope it's okay. You said we can keep it real.
Go ahead.
The number one thing that's going to help the Black and brown community get ahead is to stop worrying about getting the acceptance of corporate America. In fact, I'm actually going to challenge your people and my people and our audiences to just fucking go direct to the customer. Cut out the middleman, you know, just go. I'm telling you, I am living proof. Even the people that work in my membership and everything, I always tell them, fuck the VC, okay? Go straight to the customer. The customer is going to finance the operation. It's better to just go get the money straight from the customer, and you also learn. If we go to direct to consumer, they won't know what's hitting them because they're too busy, shaking hands and having their mixers and celebrating their, raises, right? But that's just borrowed time. It's just expensive. So seriously, let's just go straight to the customer. If you've got a product and or service, make an MVP or invite some people, do a focus group, and reiterate and test and test and test and test and test. I'm telling you, you will not be upset. I can keep going on and on. I mean, but at the end of the day, that's so important because we already, as you said, your mom has said it, nailed it. She said we have to work twice as hard for half, right? But the thing is, let's also be real. Why does Oprah get all the respect that she gets?
Because she's like, I ain't having that.
Right? because she owns her distribution. Like, seriously, to fuck with Oprah, you've got to be as good as Oprah or better. That's what I'm trying to say. So if we have more and or better, well, what I'm saying is think about it. That's why, like, even you doing this platform is important. You own your brand. So as you start raising, you don't have to go with your hand out. It changes the dynamic. And you don't have to go to a sponsor and be like, hey, can you please give me some money? It's going to help me. No, it'll be like, hey, I've got an amazing network. Here you can make this. You could benefit from that. It changes the dynamic. And I think that's very, very important because, I mean, for one, I've been there. I've walked into buildings where people thought I was a doorman. And I lived there. Like, they thought I was a janitor. And I fucking live here. Like, but again, the dynamic changes when you have that, because hell, even with my name, right? It's a Middle Eastern name. When I've gone to meetings, the dynamic, they don't expect me. They don't. They expect like a 55-year-old, like, beige Israeli guy. So I think that if you and your viewers continue with that, I think you're gonna be so happy. Personally, I know it sounds a little outlandish, but I don't think we should be fucking with VCs at all for a very long time. I think that we have the resources within the community and enough people to start serving niches, and that's where it is. If we start serving niches, right, all of us grab a niche and just serve it amazingly, do it amazingly well. I shit you not, mark my words, you're videotaping this. I think that we are going to carve out a very good market for ourselves where they're going to have to work a little bit more to our standards, which would kind of mean common sense, and get things rolling. I keep meeting people, especially, like I said, I keep meeting people over and over in our communities that are fucking brilliant. And then, like, they're admiring, like, an average fucking Joe. There's a few people that I've met in the startup scene that they get admired, and I know them personally. They are not marvelous. They're not even that intelligent. They just have really supportive family members that keep catching them before they fall.
Yeah, and then, like, I want to tie in a couple points that you mentioned, right? Definitely one of the you mentioned, like, going against what's normal or going against the grain. And I read a book last year, and it's a funny story. So I'll tell the story of where I read the book. I read the originals as an audio, so I listened to it as an audiobook last year when I had gotten a part-time job, but it was like, full-time hours. Well, it was like a temp job. That's what it was. So I had full-time hours, but it was a temp position. And I was just doing these repetitive tasks over and over. And I was just like, all right, I'm losing my mind. But, I wanted to try to be normal, right? Like, everyone just didn't understand what I was doing. I was like, all right, I'm going to be normal. I'm just going to get a job, do this thing that I'm doing, make some steady income, and, figure it out. But like, everyone had like headphones. I didn't know people like wear headphones at work. So I was like, okay, I'll listen to this stuff. And I listened to the book, the originals by Adam Grant. I don't remember. His first name is Adam, right? And then he was talking about, like, the fact that, right, people over time, we create what normal is, right? And so normal is always being recreated. 3 months ago, 2019, December 2019, normal, way to work, you're taking a bus, you're taking a train. Now normal, you have to have on a mask, you have to be on a computer, you're not going in person. So we decide what is normal, right? And so what happens, especially in communities that are underserved or just like disadvantaged communities, is that the normal was set. It's like somebody came along and said, all right, boom, this is the normal. You guys are going to work twice as hard for half. You guys are going to get less than. And then that is so repeated on for so many generations, where that power structure then gets removed. But then the people inside of that community keep having that bad habit. And they've done multiple tests with like, who moved my cheese, and that was like another book that like talked about this topic. And then like the case studies with like, the rats and monkeys. It's like, okay, if they saw the cheese, if 6 times the cheese was in the same hole, then the 7th time they're gonna go to that same hole. But it's like realizing that no, the game has changed, right? The normal has shifted, and the same way somebody made up the rules in the beginning, you could rewrite the rules. You don't have to play by these rules. The game has no rules. We are each making up the rules, and it's like my rules say I'm gonna just do whatever I want, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. And also, like when you and like I bet on myself so heavy, and I tell people to bet on yourself so heavy, because if you know how to build, right, you could break anything down, no matter what losses. Like tomorrow, if everything went back to normal and nobody was like, nah, we're not doing online events right now. That's one of the biggest increases in my business. We're not doing online events. I'm good because I know that I am a builder. I know how to get from rock bottom and get back up. And if I fall off again, it's not a stress factor to me. I'm like, oh, I've been here. I know how to get out of this. Oh, it's a little different. No problem. Like, it's the skill set of understanding how to build and how to, no matter what, like that's how you allow yourself to take the risk. And I'm just like, I'm confident and enough in myself and what I'm doing that if tomorrow everything was to shift, I'll be okay, because I will change the rules and make the rules work for me. I will shift my train of thought. I just know how to get it done. So no matter what happens, if I'm getting $1 million today or if I'm at $2 tomorrow, I know I could flip it, right? I know how to. And I read I love reading. So Charlamagne's book, Black Privilege, she was saying, he shared the story of like, in the movie, I forgot what movie it was, that like they're like, you can't like want to just be like this big drug kingpin if you haven't put the weed in the bag. Like, I know how to put the weed in the bag as well as like be the big drug kingpin. Like, I know how to do both, and like the ability to do both and not feel embarrassed, right? Not feel embarrassed that if I had to start over from scratch tomorrow, that means something less of me. Like, it doesn't mean anything less of you, right? It's always, you're gonna always begin again, and not because you have to hit the reset button that means that you're less than. It's just like you just gotta just do it again. Like, you know how to do this, so don't feel like because one thing failed or one thing didn't work, that means you're a failure. It's just that thing didn't work, but you are a builder, you're a doer. And there is no secrets. Like you said, when you were teaching the Growth Hack workshop, people are waiting for these like secrets to be said. Like, the secret is put in the work, period. That's it. The end. You're welcome.
That's why I love that you just said you're not. It's funny because everyone has fear, and I love that, because what you're basically saying is, I am afraid just like you, but I'm more afraid of not succeeding, of not getting something out of this, of not advancing. And that's exactly why I was just talking about the book being wrong. You're saying it perfectly. It's funny because someone I can see the comments. Jabber is actually someone that comes from a very niche community, right? And when he and I talked, we both had a laugh about it, because he's like, my wife told me you kind of sound like me. That's funny because we come from the same community, but he also is just like you. This didn't work. Fuck. Okay, maybe this can work. Maybe this can work. Maybe this can work. He's approaching it just like that. And VJ Niles, right? She just said, brilliant people not living their brilliance. Exactly. That's why you invest. I love it. You just said investing yourself heavy. Brilliant people not living their brilliance. Sorry, VJ. No and I think she's right, because what you just said nails that. You're basically saying, guys, investing yourself. Like let's even look at right now. I actually just had this conversation with a few buddies last night. If we were to go out and look for a job right now, right? The companies are going to expect double from us for half the pay. Let's be real. And the ones that are even going to pay you, they're going to work you to death because they want to make sure that they're getting some return on their investment. So basically, you're walking into high expectations for like mediocre pay. But like you said, I love this. You just said, if the events, you don't want to do events, fine. I want to do events, so I'm going to do events. So then you get to go out there and prove your theory. You just invested in yourself, proved your theory, and then guess what? Now they're going to come to you, Georgie. You remember you came to us before? We would love to do an event. We love what you've been doing.
The price went up, though. The price went up.
And exactly. And I am going to say to you that I obviously I'm going to support you for moving forward, but definitely I like what you did there, because that's what I did with media and publishing, right? When I started noticing as when I had my strategy firm, right? All my clients from marketing and PR agencies, that is the wildest thing ever, because they're supposed to be working for you. Now I can change the dynamic, and I just cut them out, and I'm doing my own media thing. Now I'm going to be putting out stories featuring people like us doing something, because since I did it so good for corporate America, I could do it for us, right? And I think that I hope that your viewers run with this, because let's face it, if you succeed, they win. If I succeed, we win, right? Mm-hmm. If we fail, we're just gonna laugh it off and move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
like at the end of the day, it's okay. Exactly. So I hope that your viewers are seeing this and be like, wow, well, we have two people right in front of us that are taking a big risk. They're putting their faces on their work. So if it blows up, they're fucked, but they're going to be okay. Mm-hmm. So I love it. I'm just going to reiterate, and I'm going to give you praise for saying the way you said it. I think you're spot on.
Yeah, and so we're coming to the end of our conversation, and I see I'm really glad, folks, that I've seen people are commenting and coming in and out of the session, and this will be available, like all the replays will be on all the Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube to replay. Go subscribe to my channels, shameless plug. But the point of this conversation is to say, like, the growth hack to strategically grow your business is to just go out there and do it. Try something, fail at something, and then I was reading somewhere, and it's like also like, I think they were like, I asked God for something. If you're not spiritual, I asked the universe for something. And the three answers you could get is not yet, yes, not yet, or I have something better for you, right? There's really no. So unless you say, okay, you make up your own answer of no, like it doesn't exist. Like you could always pivot and change, and just conceptually understanding that, like, as long as you have breath, as long as you have oxygen in your body, you could restart. Like, look how many people, they didn't become successful until they're 50s, 60s, and that's some of the most successful companies that we work with every single day. Those are some of the companies that made it through the Great Depression, some of the companies that made it through the recession and the financial crisis and the Ponzi scheme. Like, those are the companies that stayed around because they're like, oh, all right, I know how this works. I know I could do something again. There's people that have lost millions of gained and lost millions of dollars, and then they went back and made it again, and you're like, wow, like, how is not, and they weren't. Go ahead, jump in.
I'm gonna cut in. No, I'm so sorry. This is rude. I'm gonna apologize before and after. Hold on, you just got me something excited. You got excited. You got me excited about something. The nerd's coming out right now. Okay, so wait. Your viewers can actually do something right now to ensure that they keep that optimism from failure to failure to failure. There's a website called 16 Personalities, right? If they haven't done it, if you've never heard of Myers-Briggs, go do it. You're gonna get 4 letters at the end of this assessment. So I was born an INTP. And now I'm an ENTP. I'm an ambivert, right? So you guys can go on 16 Personalities. You get your actual assessment done, right? Once you do that, you then move on. It's going to break it down, your strengths, your weaknesses, etc. It's just a personality profile, because you're going to be able to see how you operate, how you make decisions, etc. Obviously, there's going to be some variances. You might see some certain things that are not exactly you, but that's fine. You can fill that in. You then go and do a SWOT analysis on yourself: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And you then actually have, it's going to feel a little weird because everyone likes to feel like they're special, but you're then going to have a mind map of yourself. Like, here are my strengths, here are my weaknesses, and based on that, then this is my area to shine. Mm-hmm. And if your viewers can do that, they're actually going to start to see that, oh, maybe that's why I couldn't do that. Maybe that's why I couldn't do this. Because here's another thing. A lot of the people that to subscribe to this whole thing, they're thinking they have to be an entrepreneur to get ahead. Sometimes you could be an intrapreneur. Sometimes you could be an executive. Sometimes you're just an amazing fucking employee, which just means you just have to be more tactful in how you put together your resume and your career line path, etc. But the thing is that if we actually analyze and audit how we operate, we can just improve from there. And a lot of people really will highlight the things that they're average at, and the shit that they're really, really good at, they downplay. So I'm sorry, I wanted to cut in real quick just to like share that so that they can take this and do something with it today, like right after they watch your show.
Yeah, and I loved. I think I had Daniel on last week, and he mentioned this same, like, I was like, what are these 4 letters? Like, what is this 4-letter information? And VJ in the chat, she's saying she's an ENTF. So I think I need to go take this test so I could get my my 4-letter gang going, and figure out who I am, what I am, what test I am. And I think I love that the fact that you just said that, like, people downplay some of like their biggest strengths, and it's just like, and I think it's also it's partially a cultural thing. For like, from speaking from my personal experience, I have a habit of doing that. I did that. I'm doing it less these days, But I still do it where it's just like, you don't want to be sounding like too proud, or like you have, a big ego, or like you're trying to be better than people. And it's like that mentality, is just like, be humble, right? And when you look up in my, for the longest time, my social media username was Georgie Be Humble, and I think it's still that name on my Facebook. But when you really dive into like being humble, it's just like all about like kind of like dismissing the fact that like you're great as shit, like and just make and more so doing it to like make other people feel comfortable within your greatness. And I have like this shirt that I designed, check it out on my website, don't dump I don't run on coffee, I run on greatness. And I did that because it's literally that, like the energy that's within you, stop trying to hold it in, right? Just let it burst, and whoever is blinded by your light, like it's unfortunately it's just gonna have to be like, just there's gonna have to be some casualties. But like holding it back, at the end of the day, is if you have the light inside of you, it's gonna burn and want to come out. So you're gonna end up hurting yourself versus just like releasing this into the world and like just being that light that shines. And some people are meant to be that light that shines. And at no point, and to tie into the whole entrepreneur and versus like employee thing, like I believe that there's I don't believe everyone should be an entrepreneur. It's crazy as hell, right? I believe everyone should have an entrepreneurial mindset and like understand the principles of entrepreneurship, of building and creating and doing it for yourself. Like you can't go into your job, right, and say, oh, this job is terrible, I hate my boss, I hate my job, but I got to do it, and everything is terrible. You can't go into it like that. You decided to get that job. You had to apply somehow. You had to sign some contracts. And then you have to decide every day to show up and go there. So take accountability of the parts of it that you don't like and say, okay, how can I make my job better and feel better for me and make it more fun? And if you truly, truly hate that job, you do not belong there, because you're distilling that hate and negative energy on other clients and other employees and other people and ruining yourself in the process, right? So figure out how can you, one, make something an experience better for yourself while you're in the experience, or how can you make it more fun, or maybe you just don't belong at that specific job. So but having that the entrepreneurial mindset is what's going to kick in to say, okay, wait, something's wrong here. What do I have right now that could be a part of the solution to making it right? Or if there is no solution, we're going back to square one and then rebuilding, quitting your job, then applying for new ones and people like, oh, when do I quit my job? I want to have a side hustle, I want to start a business. I'm just like, well, do you have your first customer yet? Do you have like things coming in? And I recognize like the type of privilege that I've had, and people would look at me sideways. What type of privilege you had? You are a Jamaican immigrant and a Black woman in New York, and you were a teen mom. What kind of privilege you had? And it's just like the fact that one, I had a very supportive like family. As crazy as they got, they were super supportive. They didn't understand what I was doing sometimes, but they were still like, okay, go do whatever madness that you're doing. And like I acknowledge that. Sometimes even if they said negative things, if I said, okay, I'm going to this event, can you watch my son, or my daughter, and like they would be happy about it, but it was still done, right? And so just recognizing that, having that access and that support, recognizing that I really love to learn, I love to research, I love to, and these are passions of mine, where some people they dread to do that. I'm just a natural born problem solver, just recognizing the skills that I have and like realizing that that's not a normal thing, and then using that. So just I'm saying all this to say, to just kind of bring it together, that everyone's role in society is different. Everyone's purpose in society is different. And not because somebody, even if that's your twin sister, twin brother, has, a fancy big job, that doesn't mean that you need to be that. Not because your friend's a lawyer, it means that you need to be a lawyer. You might be just an employee, or not just an employee. You are a bomb ass employee. You are a bomb ass entrepreneur. You are a bomb ass corporate executive. You're a bomb ass, yoga teacher and spiritual leader. That could be your purpose and role. So just own up to who you are and own up to the situations that you're in that you don't want to be in, and recognizing how you got yourself there and how you're going to get yourself out into a better situation that is the growth hack. Just acknowledging there's a problem, what can I use to fix it, and then start tackling the solution.
To piggyback on that, and actually kind of tie something that you said to the beginning when you were talking about like VCs, etc. That's exactly why the Black and brown community should stop catering to VCs, because we are blocking our magic 100%. We're watering it down, and it's even more insulting for us to water ourselves down right now. You know why? Look at pop culture. Come on, look at pop culture. The food we
Don't even
eat
get me
that's most
started.
popular,
TikTok, the
the
music.
clothes, the music, the movies we watch. What are they all featuring and based on? Even when they steal it and reslap some other person onto it, you know. So, yeah, okay. So that one, and then two, you touched on something, and it's very interesting because a lot of people get hyped up on motivation, right? And I started there a few years ago with Instagram with my buddies, etc. And then when I was like, you know what, let's break this onto actionable. So another actionable thing that your viewers can do, right? As you said, go out and try it. First and foremost, I'm going to. I hope I don't piss anyone off.
Go ahead. People should make me
Originality,
mad.
originality is a facade. VJ Nile said pop culture is our culture. She's absolutely right. It is. Like everything that's amazing, that's fun right now comes from Black and brown communities. So originality is not real. And here's why. Rock and roll, right? We just lost Little Richard, right? Little Richard. What is Little Richard? Queer and black. And he inspired what is rock and roll. Not the grungy white dudes that are like, but that's my point, right? So if we water everything we love down, then we're just giving free agency for someone else to recognize it, slap their name on it, and then take ownership. Like for me, it is the weirdest fucking thing to hear hip hop with Justin Bieber. I still can't get over that. I don't understand who let that happen, but that is a shining example of what happens when we water things down, right? Or you get somebody who's half-ass like Tyga, who makes goddamn
Leave Tyga
horrible
alone.
music. A white girl from California. Tyga's like Nick Cannon, man. Anywho,
Oh yeah, you about to get dragged. I don't know.
that's fine. I will survive.
Yeah, but like that's the
what
thing.
I'm trying to say is,
Opinions, like we need to own our opinions. But yeah, go ahead.
absolutely. Oh, I definitely own that one. I think Tyga makes music for white girls from Calabasas, and he probably knows that. He probably makes every song with that in mind. But what I'm trying to say is, when it comes down to originality, right? If you see something, any idea you have, what has helped me, and it's literally the process that I do with companies, is who has done it right before. So that's where we start anytime we create anything. So for your viewers, if it's a project or an idea or a side hustle, just do the same concept. What has worked before? Who has succeeded? Who came before me, right? Mm-hmm. Okay, cool. Take all the parts from all those people, the things that you like and that worked, and then add your own flavor. Okay, and then just run with it. I mean, perfect example. If any of you viewers remember the show Mad TV, do you ever remember the show Mad TV?
I ain't watch a lot of TV because I'm a weirdo, but I know what you're talking about.
So there's a popular show called Mad TV that also led to SNL, Saturday Night Live. The actual concept, the flavor, the variety came from a Latino, John Leguizamo. John Leguizamo shot the pilot, put it all together, and then they said, we don't know. Turned around and created Mad TV. Yes, Friends, a spinoff from 2 black shows, and so on and so on and so on. So what I'm trying to say is, like, if your people are watching this and my audience watches this later, I'm going to tell them the exact same thing. Take what worked and then just add your own flavor. It's a very good practice, mm-hmm. right? Because a lot of people do get worried, like, oh my God, what if it fails? Or I don't know what I'm doing. You actually do. Just take what works already, see how it works, and then add your flavor to it. And a lot of the people get very surprised when they start trying out that experiment. But I mean, authors do it all the time. That's where I learned it. I learned it from authors. Yeah, authors will go and look at a story. Yeah, look at Hollywood. That's the people that I learned that from. They will literally rip a movie from like 1938, change a few names around, add some pizzazz, and all of a sudden you've got fucking a whole new movie that's making billions of dollars in the box office.
Yeah, and I forgot which one came first, but they were just like 50 Shades of Grey and like Twilight is practically like the same thing, but just like one has vampires and the other is just like a guy that's like choking people. And so, but it's like people, there's 2 different audiences. Yeah. How many go into the bread aisle? Like, these are very micro examples, but it's the real deal. And, dang, I was going to say something and I forgot what it was. Did I write it down?
Please remember. Remember, because you've been pumping them out today, man. I'm actually looking forward to the next time I'm back on the show.
Yeah, so I think it was just around like the fact that people ownership, right? And mm-hmm. and I want people to people are gonna naturally just like take ideas and steal, and so it's like you have 2 options, right? You could cry about ownership, or you could just start building something that you own. So those are the two options, right? Oh, this culture is taking this and not doing that, and then blah 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 blah. Do what you want. Don't wait on, and because I see a lot of people will complain, oh, that person took my idea or my concept, or we need more ownership in our communities. A lot of people, and then it ties back into the whole motivational thing, right? When I had my previous startup, Illicit Mind, one of the things that got me really upset was, we did have a good amount of people that were taking action on the things that we were telling them to, do, and the resources that we have, but too many people were just like, oh yeah, this is so motivating, and they go home and sit down. I'm like, no, that's why I was like really clear. This is get shit done. This is not listen and feel nice. Anybody could listen and feel nice, right? This is get shit done. If you could go to all the motivational talks, listen to all the Tony Robbins, the ETs, the Oprahs, like Michelle. You could soak in becoming, but you're not gonna get there if you're not out there doing it. And it's all about testing and trying and failing and building and learning. And if you're not taking action, I don't want to be around you. Like I could give you all the quotes and motivational posts and tell you all the books to read, right? I could give you a whole library of that. But if you read all the books, I've seen people read all the books, write all the posts, put everything on social, and then you're not taking action. Like, what are you doing? Like, okay, you're just motivational junkie spending thousands of dollars on like being motivated. Like, what you motivated to do? Nothing.
Well, it's become a form of entertainment, because it's funny. I'm laughing as you say that, because my Instagram page, well, my personal Instagram page, I've lost like 3,000-4,000. I was gonna say subscribers, followers, because I stopped posting so much quotes. Because like I love quotes just as much as everyone. My whole family talks to me in quotes, but there's like that action, right? Like, what do you do next? Mm-hmm. So as soon as I started adding, like, here's how you do this, here's how I did this, people were like, oh yeah, and it's very funny what happened, So growth hacking,
fun stuff.
So growth hacking, it can apply to business mind and life, which is why I love to share it with people. So, as you say, take action, right? And I see that a lot. Take action, take action, take action. I want to add a little context to that. So the premise of growth hacking that we can obviously apply to ourselves is basically you start off with a hypothesis. It's a 3-step process, guys and girls. It's you have a hypothesis, right? The hypothesis, you built it based on, again, looking at what worked before, adding your flavor, and then you test. And you give yourself a realistic time frame. And it's very important. That is the most important part, the realistic time frame. Here's why. Sometimes people try something for 3 days and then quit, 30 days and quit. So come up with something that makes sense in order to accomplish that first goal. And then you measure what happened. And then you break that down, as Georgie and I love doing. We like breaking things down. And then you look at, okay, what worked, what didn't. So if you want to give yourself a 30-day window, at the end of the 30-day window, realize, okay, well, I tried 5 things. 4 of them failed, 1 succeeded. So what you do is you take the other 4 and you put them in a nice little box as an example of what not to do. And then the one that you actually found that worked, you just double down on that and then add another 3 or 4 exercises. And you keep doing that over and over and over and over again. And guess what? Before you know it and you realize, oh my God, the year passed me by, you're probably succeeding in at least 2 of those. And that's exactly the most simplest way that I can explain the growth hacking process. Mm-hmm. And it's very important that people actually just realize it's not rocket science. It's not tips and secrets. I hate that. It's funny because I'm in marketing, right? I can use those words, but if we're being real, it's not secrets. It's literally just the reason why what we're sharing right now eludes so many people is because, again, 1, everyone likes to think that they're special, and 2, we will literally roll over and bend over backwards to not want to do what's right in front of us. And that is one of the things that I love about our communities. I do cherish this part of our communities. Our community is so no bullshit. Like, our parents are so no bullshit. Like, did you try? No. Okay, then you didn't fucking do it. So, and I think that's, I mean, my mom's like that.
My mom
too. Did you try it? How many times?
Yeah, I remember growing up, like, I'd ask her for like the definitions of words, and she'd be like, go look it up in a dictionary. And that's like, now I have a love of research. And at that time I was like, just tell me how to spell the word, please. Like, so, it's just like, go look it up in a dictionary. Like, what's wrong with you? Like, you're not, did you try? Like, did you go out there? I don't want to hear it until you try and do something, then come back to me. And, I want to, and then this secret, right, that Katriel just shared is not a secret. We all learned this in like 2nd, 3rd grade. It's called a scientific method. You have your hypothesis, you test it out, you figure out what worked, what didn't, keep going with the stuff that worked, make note of the things that didn't work, and go again. Ideate, test, measure, and evaluate. Ideate, test. And it's like they call a lot. They call it they call it a lot of fancy names now: growth hacking, design thinking, product building, scoping. There's all these words. It's literally just try it, figure out what didn't work, what did work, keep going with that, keep note of what didn't work, and then keep on doing that over and over again. We've come to the close of our conversation, but I'm definitely have you back on. I don't know how long I'm doing this show, right? I keep committing to more and more things, but that's just who I am.
I don't know. I mean, if we end up working together, probably a lot longer than you realize.
Who knows, right? So that's the thing. Like, I just shoot the shot, right? I just said last week, I was just like, I want to live stream again. I've been doing like a lot of pre-scripted, not scripted, but pre-written content, and I was like, I want to just do something live, like interact with people real time. And so, tell us how.
You're very good at this.
Thank you.
I think you're very good at this. I personally, I'm in the space. It's why I said I'm cutting out the middleman, right, with media, because we don't get a voice in media. We really don't. Do you know what it is for me to have to write a script to then to hand to this person to read? They're reading my words and they're getting the accolades. So I'm going to take that chip on my shoulder and tell you, please do it, because the more people like you are out there, the more people like VJ Niles and Jabber and these people that are joining us, please, you're very good at this. And I hope that you continue the live. Actually, on live, I will tell you, you're natural. You seem very, very comfortable. You like the conversation. You engage your audience. I'm telling you, I think you're onto something here that you probably didn't set off to do anyway.
Oprah, I'm coming for you. Nah, nah. So
Right,
I've always, yeah, like we're gonna be. I'm gonna put this on video. I'm gonna be having dinner with Oprah in 2022. See you there.
Y'all gonna be neighbors.
Yes, we are. We talked about her in the last episode.
No, seriously.
I saw her cabinet the other day. Thank you. I'm definitely gonna keep continuing until it then gets crazy. Then I'm gonna figure out other ways to do this. You guys are so stop showing me all this love. Stop. Katriel, tell people how they can find you and reach out to you post this episode.
Oh shit! Right. Yes.
Shout out.
So on Instagram. Yeah, my bad. I forgot. Okay, so for myself, pretty much Twitter. I really don't like Facebook, but if you find me there, it's going to be the same thing as Instagram. It's going to be NerdGoneRogue _ and my website, I'm not even going to say it yet. So just go to nerdgonerogue.com. GrowthHaxx.com, I'm currently switching over. I'm going to be actually showing it with you because I would love to actually have you be a subject matter expert there too, especially with this forum that you're doing. So I'm going to just distribute and promote the hell out of you. I'm going to be like the DJ Khaled of media. So so what I'm saying is, NerdGoneRogue across the board. YouTube, I have started to play with because I went back to an old hobby of mine, which is photography. So I have been learning how to shoot and edit my own videos. So if you want to watch me fumble so bad for the next 30 days, then I'm also on YouTube as well, NerdGoneRogue as well.
Awesome. So check out this NerdGoneRogue, guys. The replay will be available on all the different channels. I'm gonna shout out again. Black Podcasting Awards is live, and we're going down on September 27th. New episodes of Doing the Most is available on all your favorite podcast platforms: Spotify, Apple, Google, as well as the video version is on YouTube. And we will be having the Startup Boost pre-accelerator demo day on June 17th. So just keep looking at my socials to get the information for that. And we'll see you next week for another episode of Live with Georgie. Bye.
Thank you for having me.
All right, we're going on.